How to be happy alone, even when life breaks you. Written and published by Audiobook Mindset. Introduction. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly felt okay being by yourself? Not scrolling to escape the silence, not texting someone just to feel noticed, but simply sitting alone with your own thoughts and still feeling at peace. That kind of happiness sounds rare, doesn't it? The truth is, life will break you. People will walk away. Silence will grow loud. And in those moments, happiness can feel impossible. But here's what no one tells you. Your deepest peace doesn't come from someone else's presence. It comes from finally coming home to yourself. Healing doesn't happen in noise. Growth doesn't come from attention. It happens when you're brave enough to face the quiet and strong enough to stay there. This isn't just about being alone. It's about learning how to thrive alone, even when everything around you is falling apart. Chapter 1. Stop searching for someone to complete you. From the time we are young, we're taught directly or indirectly that we need someone else to feel whole. That true happiness comes when you find your other half, when someone finally sees you, chooses you, and stays. We watch movies that romanticize this idea. We hear songs that tell us we're incomplete without someone else, and over time it becomes a belief that quietly takes root inside us. I can't be happy unless someone loves me. But this belief is dangerous because it makes your joy dependent on someone else's presence. And when that person doesn't show up at all, you feel lost, broken, and empty. That's when the pain of loneliness hits the hardest, not because you're truly alone, but because you believe you're incomplete without someone else beside you. Here's the truth the world rarely tells you. You were already whole the day you were born. You don't need someone else to validate your worth. You don't need constant attention, messages, or affection to feel real. The idea that someone else will complete you is a myth-lie that keeps you searching outside instead of growing within. When you're alone, you're given a rare and powerful opportunity. You begin to confront the thoughts you've been avoiding, the belief that you're not enough, that your worth depends on someone loving you, that you're invisible if you're not being noticed. It's painful to face these thoughts. That's why many people distract themselves, jump into relationships too quickly, or keep chasing love that isn't healthy. But solitude, the quiet, still space of being alone, is not a punishment. It's a mirror. It reflects back every wound you haven't healed. It shows you the cracks in your self-esteem, the ways you've abandoned yourself to seek approval from others. But if you're brave enough to sit with this mirror, to stop running and really look, something beautiful happens. You begin to heal. You stop waiting for someone to call. You stop chasing people who don't value you. You stop begging to be seen, and you start seeing yourself. You begin to meet your own needs. You give yourself the care, the validation, the love you once craved from others. You become your own source of peace and stability. And when that shift happens, you don't just survive alone, you thrive. Because the truth is, no one can complete what is already complete. No one can fix what was never broken to begin with. And no one can love you fully until you learn to love yourself completely. So stop looking outward. Stop waiting for someone to fill the emptiness. Start returning to yourself, because that's where the real you has been waiting all along. Chapter 2. Build a home inside yourself. Most people spend their lives trying to find a home in others. They want to feel safe in someone's arms, heard in someone's presence, understood through someone's love. And while connection is important, relying on someone else to give you that sense of belonging will always leave you vulnerable, because people leave, situations change, and life is unpredictable. But imagine if your sense of safety, your peace, your happiness came from within. Building a home inside yourself means creating a space where you are never a stranger to your own soul. It means becoming the person you run away from. It means learning to sit in silence without feeling abandoned, to breathe deeply and say, I am okay, even now. This inner home is not made of walls or furniture. It's made of your thoughts, your self-talk, your rituals, your truth. Ask yourself, when you are alone, what kind of environment lives inside your mind? Is it a place of criticism, fear and regret? Or is it a place of gentleness, safety and calm? You see, many of us have been living in a mental space that feels like chaos. We wake up and immediately compare ourselves to others. We go to bed regretting things we said or didn't say. Our inner world is noisy, messy and harsh. No wonder we feel lost when we're alone, because being with ourselves doesn't feel peaceful. But you can change that. You can build a new space, one brick at a time. Start small. Begin with your words. Replace "I'm not good enough" with "I'm learning." Replace "no one loves me" with "I am worthy of love, including my own." Then add habits that support your growth. Create a morning ritual that grounds you. A slow cup of tea, a short walk, 5 minutes of journaling or deep breathing. These tiny acts become the furniture of your inner home. They make it feel warm, lived in, yours. Next, introduce boundaries. A real home has doors for a reason. Not everyone gets to walk in and stay. Learn to say no to people who drain your energy. Learn to protect your peace. Not out of anger, but out of love for the space you've built. Fill your inner world with things that bring you life. Music that makes you feel alive. Books that awaken your mind. Creative expressions that let your spirit speak. And most importantly, self-compassion. Every home needs warmth. Don't be cold to yourself. Speak with the same kindness you'd offer a friend who's hurting. Eventually, something amazing happens. You stop feeling desperate to be rescued, because you're no longer lost. You're not standing outside someone else's door, waiting to be let in. You're already home within yourself. And that home, it will carry you through every storm. It will comfort you in every heartbreak. It will remind you that you are never truly alone when you are at peace within. So instead of begging the world to give you a place to belong, start building it in your soul. Make it beautiful. Make it sacred. Make it yours. Chapter 3. Learn to sit with pain without escaping. In a world where instant gratification is just a tap away, sitting with pain has become a forgotten art. The moment discomfort arises, whether it's sadness, fear, loneliness, or heartbreak, we rush to distract ourselves. We scroll, we binge, we numb. Anything to avoid feeling. But pain that is avoided doesn't disappear. It hides, burrows, and grows louder in silence. The truth is, pain has a purpose. It is not the enemy. Pain is a message, a teacher, a guide. But in order to understand its wisdom, you have to stop running from it. You have to learn to sit with it, as uncomfortable as that may sound. Imagine pain like a child knocking on your door in the middle of the night. If you ignore it, it cries louder. If you open the door and scream at it to leave, it gets frightened and confused. But if you gently open the door, let it in, sit down with it, and ask, "What are you trying to tell me?" Then something changes. That child no longer feels abandoned. That pain no longer needs to scream. When life breaks you, when a relationship ends, a dream dies, or you're left standing alone, your first instinct will be to escape the ache. You'll want to erase it through distractions. But healing doesn't happen through avoidance. It happens through attention. Sitting with pain means giving yourself permission to feel, to cry if you need to write out your thoughts, to talk to Allah, to the universe, to your heart. To let the sorrow move through you rather than stay stuck inside you, because what you don't express will find another way to surface through anxiety, through anger, through exhaustion. It may feel overwhelming at first. You might wonder, Will this feeling swallow me whole? But it won't. In fact, emotions only last when you fight them. When you allow them to rise, peak, and pass, they begin to lose their grip. You start to realize your pain is not permanent. Your sadness is not your identity. Your heartbreak is not your home. There is a kind of sacred strength that comes from sitting in your sorrow and whispering to yourself, "Even this I can survive." That's the moment you stop being a victim of your emotions and start becoming the master of your healing. Instead of saying, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this trying to awaken within me?" Maybe your pain is asking you to slow down. Maybe it's guiding you to set boundaries. Maybe it's pushing you to let go of something or someone you've been clinging to too tightly. The moment you stop trying to escape your suffering and instead embrace it with curiosity and compassion, it begins to lose its power over you. Pain that is seen, heard, and held transforms. And here's the most beautiful part. Once you learn to sit with your own pain, you begin to show up differently in the world. You no longer fear heartbreak because you've faced it and survived. You no longer need to hide your sadness because you've made peace with its presence. You become a person of depth, of resilience, of quiet strength. So the next time life hurts and it will, don't reach for the nearest distraction. Don't silence yourself. Instead, pause. Breathe. Sit down with your pain like it's an old friend carrying a message you forgot to read. Because in the heart of that ache is the doorway back to yourself. Chapter 4. Replace external noise with inner stillness. In today's world, we are constantly surrounded by noise, literal and emotional. Notifications buzzing, news headlines screaming, people telling you who to be, how to live, what to want. Even when you're alone, the noise doesn't stop. It follows you into your room, your thoughts, your soul. We've become addicted to this noise. Because silence can be terrifying. It forces you to hear what you've been avoiding, your fears, your insecurities. The voice inside that says, "I don't feel enough." So we fill the space, music always playing, TV in the background, social media feeds flooding our minds. But here's the truth. All that external noise drowns out the one voice that matters most, your own. When you're constantly tuned into the outside world, you're disconnected from your inner world. You stop recognizing what you truly want. You forget how to trust your intuition. And worst of all, you begin to depend on others to tell you who you are. But solitude is your sacred chance to change that. To be alone and at peace, you must replace the noise with stillness. Not just quiet around you, but quiet within you. A space where your thoughts can breathe, where your emotions can rise without being shut down, where your soul can finally speak and be heard. Stillness is not emptiness. Stillness is clarity. It is a soft, powerful space where you remember what matters. It is where you hear the whisper of your purpose, the truth beneath your pain, the guidance you've been waiting for. But cultivating inner stillness is a practice. It doesn't happen by accident. You have to choose it daily. Start by reducing your dependency on external stimulation. When you wake up, resist the urge to check your phone. Instead, sit quietly. Listen to the sounds around you. Listen to the silence within. In those first few minutes of the day, you are closest to your raw, unfiltered self. Don't cover it up too quickly. Create small moments throughout your day where you intentionally turn down the volume of the world. Close your eyes, breathe slowly, stretch, journal, pray, meditate, take a walk without headphones. It may feel uncomfortable at first, even boring, but that's only because your soul is detoxing from constant distraction. The more you practice being present, the more you realize that stillness is not the absence of life. It is where life begins. It's where you stop reacting and start responding. where you stop performing and start simply being. And in this quiet space, you will begin to hear the deepest truths of your heart. You'll realize that your worth does not depend on how much you produce, that you don't need to be constantly doing to be valuable. That peace is not something you chase, it's something you create, right here, right now. Stillness reconnects you with yourself. And when you are connected to yourself, you stop feeling desperate for validation from others. You stop feeling lost when you're alone, because you're no longer disconnected, you're home. Eventually, the noise of the world will still be there, but it won't control you. You'll be able to walk through chaos without losing your calm. You'll hear 100 opinions without losing your own voice. Because within you, there will be a deeper sound, the steady, peaceful rhythm of your own truth. So don't fear the silence. Enter it. Embrace it. Let it reveal what the noise has always kept hidden. Because in that sacred stillness, you don't just find peace, you finally find yourself. Chapter 5. Create meaning without needing an audience. We live in a world where everything is shared or meals, our thoughts, our faces, our feelings. It's not enough to experience something beautiful. We feel the need to prove it, not just to ourselves, but to everyone watching. Somewhere along the way, we've started to believe that if no one sees it, it doesn't matter. That if it's not liked, reposted, or praised, it's not valuable. But this belief is a trap. It keeps you chained to external validation. It makes you a performer instead of a creator. It convinces you that your worth is measured in views, reactions, and approval from others. And this becomes especially dangerous when you're alone, because when there's no one watching, it feels like there's no reason to keep going. But here's the truth. You were not created to live for applause. You were created to live for purpose, for meaning, for inner peace. And the most meaningful moments of life often happen in complete silence, far away from any spotlight. Think about it. Some of the most sacred experiences you've ever had were probably invisible to the world. The quiet tears you shed while praying, the joy of completing something no one else knew you were working on, the peace of watching the sunrise, alone, knowing that you survived one more day. These are the moments that shape your soul, not the ones posted on social media, not the ones others clap for, but the ones that happen when no one is looking and you choose to live fully anyway. Creating meaning without needing an audience means doing things because they matter to you, not because they'll be noticed, not because they'll be approved, but because they are true to who you are. So, cook yourself a beautiful meal, even if no one will taste it but you. Write poems that no one reads but your heart understands. Dance in your room to your favorite song, not for a video, but because your body wants to feel alive. Celebrate your small victories, cleaning your space, showing up for yourself, saying no when you used to say yes. These things count. They build self-respect. They create real joy. When you stop living for an audience, you begin to live for your essence. You return to the core of who you are. You discover what lights you up, not because it impresses others, but because it nourishes you. And here's the beautiful irony. The more you live from this place of inner truth, the more magnetic you become. People are drawn to those who are grounded in their own being, who radiate peace and purpose, say no performance. But even if no one notices, if no one ever does, you will still be okay. Because your meaning is not dependent on attention. It's anchored in authenticity. Let this chapter be your reminder. You don't need an audience to matter. You don't need applause to be proud of yourself. You don't need to be seen by the world to know your life is meaningful. So when you're alone, don't wait for someone to witness your life before you live it. Make art, make peace, make joy. Not for the world, but for your soul. because that's the kind of meaning that doesn't fade. It doesn't change with trends. It stays. It grows. And most importantly, it belongs to you. Chapter 6. Fall in love with who you're becoming. When you're alone, it can be tempting to look at your life and only see what's missing. The people who left, the things you haven't achieved yet, the dreams that didn't go as planned. In the silence, self-doubt grows loud. And the inner critic? It never seems to run out of breath. But what if right here, in this moment, you are not behind? What if you are not broken, or failing, or forgotten? What if you are simply in the process of becoming? There is a quiet, beautiful transformation that happens when you spend time alone, not to punish yourself, but to grow into yourself. Being alone gives you space. Space to think, space to change, space to meet the person you were always meant to be. And that person? They are still under construction, and that is perfectly okay. Most people try to fall in love with a version of themselves that's already polished, successful, admired, loved, flawless. But real love doesn't wait for perfection. Real self-love happens when you can look at your unfinished self and still say, I'm proud of who I am becoming. Falling in love with who you're becoming means learning to appreciate your own evolution, even when it's messy. It means looking at your past mistakes not as shameful, but as necessary bricks in the foundation of your growth. It means seeing your current loneliness not as a void, but as a sacred season of rebirth. Let go of the idea that you need to have it all together to feel worthy. You are allowed to be a work in progress. You are allowed to be a mixture of strength and struggle. You are allowed to celebrate your small wins, getting out of bed when it was hard, setting a boundary, speaking up for yourself, being kind to your own heart. The person you're becoming is not created in the spotlight. They are forged in quiet mornings, in difficult decisions, in private moments when you choose healing over habits, courage over comfort, purpose over popularity. You are not meant to rush your growth. Flowers do not bloom overnight. Mountains do not rise in a day. The most powerful transformations happen slowly, almost invisibly. But one day, you'll look back at this chapter and realize this is where your strength was born. And something magical happens when you stop waiting to love yourself someday. When you stop saying, I'll be happy with myself when I look like this, or achieve that, or find someone. Instead, you say, I love myself now, not because I'm done, but because I'm trying. I'm showing up, and that's enough. I'm growing, and that's beautiful. Loving who you're becoming is also about redefining what success looks like. Maybe success isn't fame or wealth or having a partner. Maybe it's becoming someone who is kind when they could be bitter. Someone who keeps going when no one is cheering. Someone who smiles not because life is perfect, but because they've made peace with the imperfections. Your journey is not a race. You don't need to compare your path to anyone else's. No one else has lived your pain. No one else has your exact soul, your resilience, your perspective. Your transformation is yours alone, and that makes it sacred. So look in the mirror today and say, I see you. I honor your progress. I forgive your past. And I'm excited for the person you're becoming, because they are someone worth loving. You may not be exactly where you want to be, but you are not who you used to be. And that, my friend, is reason enough to celebrate. Fall in love with your journey. Fall in love with your softness, your strength, your scars. Fall in love, not just with the destination, but with the becoming. Because becoming is the most honest, powerful, and beautiful thing you will ever do. Chapter 7. Make peace with the past, so the present can bloom. No matter how far we try to move forward in life, we all carry invisible bags from our past. Some are filled with memories we wish we could relive. Others are heavy with regret, betrayal, pain, or guilt. And when you're alone without the distractions of daily noise, those bags often come crashing open. You begin replaying the things you should have said, the relationships you should have walked away from sooner, the times you gave your heart to people who didn't protect it. You start reliving conversations, mistakes, traumas, wishing you could go back, change something, undo the pain. But here's a truth that will set you free. You cannot change the past, but you can change what the past does to you. So many people stay stuck, not because of their present circumstances, but because they haven't made peace with what already happened. They let old wounds bleed into new days. They carry the shame of decisions made in survival mode. They define themselves by who they were at their lowest moments. But you are not your past. You are not the broken version of yourself who didn't know better. You are not the person they tried to convince you that you were. You are who you choose to become starting now. Making peace with the past is not about forgetting. It's not pretending it didn't happen. It's about facing it with open eyes and a compassionate heart and saying, yes, that happened. Yes, it hurt, but it no longer has power over me. To do that, you must release the belief that healing comes through rewinding time. Healing does not mean erasing the memory. It means changing your relationship with it. It means seeing your scars not as ugly reminders, but as signs that you survived, that you were brave enough to keep living, even when life tried to break you. You may be waiting for closure from people who will never apologize, from those who ghosted you, lied to you, used you, or dismissed your pain. But closure doesn't always come from them. Closure comes when you stop reopening the same wound, waiting for them to heal it. It comes when you say, I don't need their apology to move on. I don't need their permission to heal. I forgive not because they deserve it, but because I deserve peace. Forgiveness is not saying what they did was okay. It's saying you will no longer allow it to control your emotions, your identity, or your future. It's choosing to put down the baggage because carrying it is weighing down your soul. And let's not forget the hardest person to forgive: yourself. We all have chapters we wish we could delete. Times we stayed too long, times we spoke too harshly, times we betrayed our own values just to be loved or accepted. But you have to stop punishing yourself for what you didn't know back then. You were doing the best you could with the emotional tools you had, and now you are learning. Now you are growing. That's what matters. Peace begins the moment you stop clinging to what could have been and start embracing what can still be. You cannot bloom while gripping dead flowers. You cannot step into your future while chained to what's behind you. To move forward, you must let go not just of the people and events, but of the identity that pain gave you. You are not just the one who was abandoned. You are not just the one who failed. You are not just the one who was hurt. You are the one who kept going. You are the one who wakes up every day with the courage to heal. You are the one planting new seeds of self-love, strength, and clarity right now. When you make peace with the past, the present becomes alive again. Your laughter becomes real. Your mornings feel lighter. Your soul feels less burdened. And the person you were always meant to be starts rising from beneath the weight of everything you've carried. This isn't about pretending the pain never happened. It's about showing the world and yourself that it didn't destroy you. So take one final look, back not to grieve, but to say goodbye. And then turn forward. Breathe. Walk into this new moment with an open heart, because your present is waiting to bloom. But it cannot grow while you're still watering yesterday. Let go. Not to forget, but to finally be free. Here is Chapter 8, continuing in the same deep, powerful, and emotionally rich style. Chapter 8. Discover joy in the smallest moments. Happiness is often mistaken for something loud, extravagant, or far away. We imagine it waiting for us in the big milestones, a new relationship, a dream job, a major achievement, a life-changing moment. And so, we chase it endlessly, telling ourselves, "I'll be happy when—" But while we're running toward that distant idea of joy, we overlook the hundreds of quiet miracles happening all around us, right here, right now. The warmth of sunlight on your face, the sound of birds outside your window, the calm of a morning with no plans, the way a cup of tea feels in your hands. A deep breath that reminds you you're still alive. Joy is not always grand. Often, it's small, hidden, silent. But that doesn't make it less real. In fact, that's what makes it sacred. When you're alone, especially during hard seasons, your mind may try to convince you that happiness has been postponed, that you need something else, someone else too, feel it again. But the truth is, joy is not something you find out there. It's something you notice, it's something you allow, and it's something you choose to feel, even in the smallest, softest corners of life. Start by slowing down. In our rushed, hyper-connected world, we miss beauty because we're not present enough to see it. Your heart can't feel joy when your mind is always somewhere else. So pause. Breathe deeply. Look around. Ask yourself, what's good about this moment right now? It might be your ability to rest after a long day. It might be the fact that you have food to eat or a roof over your head. It might be a single message from a friend or the quiet victory of healing a little more than yesterday. These moments won't go viral. They won't get applause. But they will fill your life with quiet meaning. And when you begin training your mind to seek these moments, something beautiful happens. Your soul starts to smile again. You begin to understand that happiness isn't a destination, it's a rhythm. A way of walking through the world with open eyes, open hands, and an open heart. Joy is in simplicity. It's in learning how to be fully where your feet are. It's in letting go of what's not in your control and grounding yourself in what is. And here's something most people forget. You are allowed to feel joy even when life isn't perfect. You don't need to wait for everything to be fixed before you smile. You don't have to earn happiness by struggling long enough. You can find it today in a clean room, in a warm bath, in your favorite song, in a walk under the evening sky. And no, this kind of happiness may not erase your grief, your pain, or your loneliness, but it coexists with it. Joy does not require the absence of hardship. It simply requires your attention. Being alone doesn't mean you have to be sad. It means you have more space to tune into yourself, to treat yourself kindly, to do things just because they make you feel good, to eat something you love, to light a candle, write a letter to your future self, lay under the stars. These are the kind of moments that no one else may ever witness, but your soul will remember them forever. So, ask yourself, when was the last time you smiled at something small, without needing a reason? When was the last time you felt grateful just to exist? The people who are truly joyful are not the ones with perfect lives. They are the ones who have learned to find light even in darkness. They are the ones who let the smallest moments matter. So stop waiting. Stop postponing your peace. Stop telling yourself that joy is only for later. Open your hands. Open your heart. Look around. It's already here. Chapter 9. Become the person you needed when you were hurting. There's a version of you somewhere in your past who felt lost, unseen, unloved. Maybe they cried quietly at night, wondering if anyone would ever understand them. Maybe they wore a smile while carrying pain too heavy to name. Maybe they walked through life feeling like they didn't belong, like no one truly heard the silent screams behind their calm appearance. That version of you still lives within. And whether you realize it or not, much of your healing begins when you decide to no longer abandon that person, but to become the one they always needed. You don't need to wait for someone to save you. You have the power now to be your own healer, your own guide, your own safe space. Be the one who listens when no one else will. Be the one who holds space for your feelings without judgment. Be the one who tells your inner child, you are enough. You were always enough. Many of us spend years trying to get from others what we never received growing up: validation, protection, love, encouragement. But that search can leave us exhausted and disappointed. Why? Because no one else can truly reach those hidden wounds the way you can. The deepest healing always starts within. Becoming the person you needed is an act of radical self-love. It's no longer waiting for a hero to arrive, but choosing to be that hero for yourself. It's saying, I may not have had what I needed back then, but I will not let that be the story that defines me forever. Start small. Speak to yourself the way you wish someone had spoken to you during your darkest days. Instead of criticizing yourself for your flaws, offer understanding. Instead of punishing yourself for your mistakes, offer compassion. Say things like, I know you're tired, but I'm proud of you. You don't have to be perfect to be worthy. It's okay to rest. You're safe now. You didn't deserve what happened to you, and I'm here now to protect you. Treat your mind like a home you're rebuilding from the inside out. Clean out the voices that don't serve you, the ones that shame you, rush you, belittle you. Replace them with truth, gentleness, strength. Becoming the person you needed also means setting boundaries. The child in you didn't know how to say no, didn't know how to walk away from people who were unsafe. But you do now. You have the awareness. You have the choice. You can build a life that feels nourishing instead of depleting. You can surround yourself with people who honor your light instead of dimming it. And it means breaking cycles. Maybe you come from a family where emotional neglect was normal, where silence replaced affection, where strength was measured by how well you could suppress your emotions. But you don't have to carry that forward. You don't have to become what hurt you. You can become the one who heals, the one who loves openly, the one who feels deeply and safely. Even if no one taught you how to love yourself, you can still learn. Even if no one gave you the roadmap, you can still build the path. Let this chapter be your turning point, not to forget the past, but to rewrite your relationship with it, to stop asking, why didn't they love me the way I needed, and start saying, now I will love myself the way I always deserved. And one day, maybe someone else will cross your path who's hurting, lost, confused, struggling to believe in themselves. And because of everything you've survived, everything you've learned, you'll be able to look them in the eye and say, I see you, I've been where you are, and you're going to be okay. You'll offer the same light that once felt so far away. You'll be the comfort that no one gave you. You'll be the calm in someone else's storm because you became it for yourself first. That is the quiet power of transformation. That is the strength of becoming whole. That is the sacred beauty of healing, not just for you, but for everyone your light will one day touch. So become the person your past self needed. The protector, the encourager, the nurturer, the guide. And in doing so, you don't just rewrite your story. You rise from it. Chapter 10. Embrace this season as a sacred rebirth. There comes a time in every person's life when everything they thought they needed begins to fall away. Relationships drift, plans collapse, routines break, and the noise of the world fades into an unfamiliar silence. And in that silence, something deeper starts to emerge. You. At first, this silence can feel like death. The death of who you used to be, the death of old identities, attachments, dreams. You might look around and feel like you're standing in the ruins of the life you thought you'd have. And it's tempting to call this place empty, to call it loneliness, to call it the end. But what if it's not the end? What if this silence is not your burial, but your rebirth? What if being alone right now is not a curse but a divine invitation to begin again, to shed everything that was never truly you, to unlearn the noise and reconnect to your essence, to rebuild, not based on expectations, but on truth. Rebirth does not begin with fireworks. It begins quietly, in still mornings, in the aching loneliness of midnight, in the deep breath you take when you realize, this is hard, but I'm still here. This season you're in right now, it's not random, it's sacred. Because when life strips you bare of everything external, it finally gives you the chance to meet yourself without masks. To discover who you are when there's no one to impress, no role to play, no story to perform. You get to ask the questions that matter. Who am I beneath the pain? What do I believe when no one is telling me what to think? What does my soul truly crave, not for status, but for peace? This season of solitude is not passive. It's not waiting for something to happen. It is active transformation. It is the cocoon, the fire, the forge. And yes, it may feel uncomfortable. Growth always does. But discomfort is not a sign you're on the wrong path. It's a sign you're shedding the old skin. You are not who you were a year ago. You are not the same person who begged to be chosen, who chased love just to feel seen, who silenced their truth to avoid conflict. You are becoming someone wiser, softer, stronger. You are no longer running from the darkness, you are learning to shine within it. And when you start treating this season as holy, something shifts. You stop trying to rush through the pain. You stop asking, when will this be over? And start asking, what is this trying to make of me? You begin to cooperate with your healing instead of resisting it. You start pouring into your soul like it matters, because it does. You begin to nurture your mind, your body, your spirit, not for a crowd, not for applause, but because you finally understand that you are worth taking care of. This is how rebirth begins, not with a loud announcement, but with quiet devotion. You change your habits. You rewire your beliefs. You rest, you rise, you create, you reflect. You stop escaping and start embracing. You stop asking others to fill your emptiness and start filling it with purpose, with meaning, with you. And day by day, without even noticing at first, you become someone new, someone more rooted, someone more free, someone who walks into the world not needing to be chosen because they've already chosen themselves. So if you are alone right now, hurting, uncertain, stripped of what you once held tightly to good, you are exactly where rebirth happens. Don't try to escape it. Don't try to rush it. Honor it. Light a candle and sit with your soul. Let go of who you thought you had to be. Bless the ashes of your past. And say yes to becoming. This is not the end of your story. This is the beginning of your becoming. Let this season break you open, not to destroy you, but to reveal you. Let it strip away the noise so you can finally hear your truth. Let it feel holy. Let it feel honest. Let it be hardened. Let it be beautiful. Because one day you will look back on this moment and you won't see it as your breakdown. You'll see it as the exact moment you were reborn. Chapter 11. Choose yourself every single day, even when it's hard. One of the hardest decisions you will ever make in this life is the decision to choose yourself, not just once, but over and over again, especially when everything in you wants to give up, especially when life feels heavy and lonely. We grow up learning how to love others, how to give to others, how to show up for others, but very few of us are taught how to show up for ourselves, how to stand by our own side when no one else does, how to hold our own hand when it's trembling, how to say, I matter, not in arrogance, but in deep, quiet dignity. Choosing yourself doesn't mean being selfish. It doesn't mean isolating yourself from love. It means recognizing that your well-being is your responsibility. It means understanding that the most important relationship in your life is the one you have with your own soul. But let's be honest, choosing yourself is not always easy. It means saying no when people want you to say yes. It means walking away from situations that once made you feel needed, but drained you in silence. It means letting go of comfort, of familiarity, of the people who only love you when it's convenient. It means learning to disappoint others so you can stop abandoning yourself. And that takes courage, because sometimes the world will not reward you for choosing yourself. Sometimes it will punish you. People may call you selfish, ungrateful, difficult, but let them speak. You are not here to shrink so others can feel comfortable. You are not here to be a background character in your own story. You are here to live, fully and honestly, even if it means standing alone for a while. Choosing yourself means showing up to your healing, even when no one claps for you. It means going to therapy, journaling through the tears, building boundaries, and honoring your growth even when you relapse, even when you fail, even when you feel like you're going backward. It means learning how to forgive yourself, not just for the big mistakes, but for all the quiet ways you betrayed your own heart, for the times you stayed when you should have left, for the times you spoke softly when you needed to roar, for the times you kept giving when your soul was running on empty. But choosing yourself also means giving yourself grace. You're not always going to get it right. You're not going to be strong every day. And that's okay. This is not about being perfect, it's about being present. It's about being loyal to your truth, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. When you choose yourself, you stop chasing love that doesn't honor you. You stop bending into versions of yourself just to be accepted. You stop over-explaining your worth to people who were never meant to understand it. Instead, you start to trust your voice. You start to listen to the soft nudges of your intuition. You begin to act from alignment, not approval. You begin to live for peace, no performance. And the more you choose yourself, the more the world around you begins to reflect that energy. Your relationships improve, your boundaries become respected. Your soul feels safer because it knows you will not abandon it again. You become rooted, grounded, unshakable. But even if nothing changes on the outside, you will have changed. You will walk differently, think differently, love differently, because you'll be loving from overflow, not emptiness. You'll be giving from fullness, not desperation. Let this be your sacred vow. No matter who comes or goes, I will choose myself. No matter how many times I fall, I will choose myself. No matter how long it takes to heal, I will choose myself. And in doing so, I will slowly rebuild the kind of life I don't need to escape from. A life rooted in truth. A life held by peace. A life led by the one person who's been with me through it all. Because choosing yourself is not a one-time event. It's a daily commitment, a quiet revolution, a lifelong love story. And it begins right now with a single sacred decision. I choose me. Chapter 12. You were never meant to be saved. You were meant to rise. There is a belief, buried deep within many of us, that one day someone or something will come to rescue us. Maybe it's a person who will finally see our worth. Maybe it's a moment of success, a sudden miracle, or a big break that will sweep in and lift us from our pain. We spend years silently hoping that if we just wait long enough, the weight will be lifted. The loneliness will fade, the sadness will vanish. But here is the truth most people never say out loud: no one is coming to save you. Not because you're unworthy, not because you're alone in the world, but because you were never meant to be saved. You were meant to rise. You were meant to meet yourself in the middle of the fire, look your fear in the face, and realize I am still standing. You were meant to gather your broken pieces and build something stronger than what existed before. You were meant to walk through your lonelies not as a victim, but as the author of your own healing. Rising is not easy. It is not glamorous. It means sitting in the darkness long enough to let your eyes adjust, to stop fearing the shadows and start seeing the lessons they carry. It means carrying yourself through the nights where no one checks on you, no one calls, no one claps for your quiet courage and still choosing to breathe, still choosing to grow. It means turning your wounds into wisdom. It means saying, I may have been abandoned, but I will never abandon myself again. It means being brave enough to walk alone so you never again settle for company that dims your light. You were not born to live at the mercy of others. You were not created to beg for love, to chase peace, to wait on joy as if it's a reward you haven't earned. You were born with everything you need already inside you. Your resilience, your softness, your strength, your fire. It was always there buried under the noise, the heartbreak, the lies the world told you about your worth. To rise means to uncover it. To remember who you are beneath the pain. To stop shrinking, to stop apologizing. To stop waiting to be chosen because you have already been chosen by the one soul who matters most, your own. And no, this path is not perfect. You will fall, you will question, you will hurt. But every time you get back up, every time you whisper to yourself, I'm not done. Every time you choose your truth over comfort, your peace over approval, you rise higher. This is not the life you imagined. Maybe not. But maybe it's the life that will lead you somewhere deeper, somewhere more honest, more aligned, somewhere where you don't just survive, but finally live. So stop waiting to be rescued. There is no knight in shining armor. There is no perfect moment, no perfect person, no perfect version of you that needs to arrive before you begin. Begin now. With your shaky voice, with your tired heart, with your imperfect steps. Begin now not because it's easy, but because it's time. Time to stop hoping someone else will hand you freedom. Time to realize that healing was never outside you. Time to claim the power you've always had. You were never meant to be saved. You were meant to rise. And when you Dowhen, you choose to rise, to walk forward, to speak, to feel, to heal. The world doesn't just change around you. You become the change. You become the light. You become the love. You become the safe place your younger self always needed. And that is your truest freedom. Would you like me to now write a final conclusion that wraps up all 12 chapters into one unified, emotionally powerful closing message for your video? Chapter 13. The loneliest roads lead to the deepest healing. There is a road that not many talk about. It is not glamorous. It is not filled with crowds cheering you on. There are no welcome signs or shortcuts. It is long. It is quiet. And sometimes it feels unbearably lonely. It is the road of deep, personal healing. And if you're reading this, there's a good chance you're already on it. This is the path you find yourself on when the people you trusted walk away, when your comfort zones dissolve, when the life you thought you were building suddenly breaks apart. It's not a road you choose, it's a road you are called to when life decides it's time for you to meet your true self. At first it hurts, because healing often begins with breaking illusions, breaking attachments, breaking the need to be loved by those who never really saw you. You feel like you're walking through a storm with no map. Your tears become your only companions. The silence feels heavy, the nights feel longer, and the temptation to go back to the familiar, the numbness, the comfort of distraction can feel overwhelming. But here's what no one tells you. This lonely road is not a punishment. It's a sacred initiation. It is the universe, or God or your soul saying, "You can no longer abandon yourself. It's time to come home." This road will strip away the noise so you can finally hear your own voice. It will remove the people who were never meant to walk into your future. It will reveal your wounds not to hurt you again, but so you can heal them properly this time. And as you keep walking, something starts to shift. You begin to see that loneliness is not always emptiness. Sometimes it is spaciousness, space to breathe, to rebuild, to rewire your beliefs, your identity, your rhythm. You start to remember who you are when no one is watching. You rediscover forgotten dreams, buried creativity, quiet joy. You begin to fall in love with solitude not because you don't need people but because you've learned how to need yourself. The road is still quiet, but it no longer feels so frightening. Because now, you're not walking it to escape pain, you're walking it to become whole. You stop begging others to validate your worth. You stop searching for mirrors outside and become your own reflection. You stop running from discomfort and start leaning into the wisdom it holds. That's the gift of this road. It doesn't just heal you, it transforms you. It turns you into someone who can hold their own hand in the dark. Someone who can sit in stillness and not crumble. Someone who can feel deeply and still move forward with grace. And one day you will look back at this chapter not with resentment, but with reverence. You'll say, "That was the season that changed everything. That was the road where I shed everything false and found what was real. That was the path where I stopped surviving and started living." You may still feel alone on this road, but you are never without purpose. Every step you take is a declaration. I choose to heal. I choose to grow. I choose to rise. So keep walking, even when it's hard, even when your voice shakes, even when no one understands your journey, because the loneliest roads lead to the deepest healing, and the person waiting for you at the end of that road is the most powerful version of you that's ever existed. Chapter 14. Let solitude shape you, not shatter you. Solitude. For some, it's a peaceful retreat. For others, it's a terrifying void. When life gets quiet, when the messages stop coming, the calls fade, and the rooms feel too still, it's easy to believe something is wrong, that you've been forgotten, abandoned, left behind. But here's the deeper truth that's often hidden beneath that silence. Solitude is not here to break you, it's here to shape you. You see, being alone is not the same as being lost. Aloneness is not a flaw in your story, it is the fertile ground where your real story begins. It is the sacred pause where your transformation is written not in noise, but in stillness. The world may see solitude as emptiness, but to the soul it is space. Space to reflect, to breathe, to shed the masks you wore for too long. Space to listen to the whispers of your heart that you couldn't hear over the crowd. Most people fear solitude because, in its quiet, they finally hear what's been waiting for them all along. The buried pain, the unmet needs, the forgotten dreams, the truth that was too painful to face when they were busy being everything for everyone else. But solitude isn't a punishment, it's a mirror. And what you see in that mirror, that's your raw, unfiltered self. The version of you that doesn't need to impress. The version that's tired of pretending. The version that is finally ready to be seen not by others, but by you. Yes, the process is uncomfortable. Yes, it will make you question everything. But what's being shattered isn't your worth, it's the illusion that you needed someone else to define it. Let solitude soften you, not harden you. Let it humble you, not humiliate you. Let it open you not to bitterness, but to a deeper kind of love. Self-love, soul love, real love. Use this time to rebuild. Rebuild the relationship you have with your thoughts. Rebuild your boundaries, your self-talk, your spiritual connection. Rebuild your habits not for appearance, but for alignment. Solitude gives you the gift of undivided attention with your own soul. And once you've tasted that, once you've stood in the stillness and realized you are enough all by yourself, no one can take that away from you. You stop seeking from lack. You start giving from overflow. You stop performing. You start being. And something even more beautiful begins to grow. Inner peace. The kind that doesn't get shaken by who stays or who leaves. The kind that walks into a room and doesn't need to be noticed. The kind that sits in silence and knows, I'm not empty, I'm full of everything I used to search for in others. So when you're tempted to believe that solitude is punishment, pause, feel, look around. You are not being abandoned. You are being refined. You are being realigned. You are being remembered by your own soul. This chapter of solitude is not the death of your story. It is the shaping ground of your greatness. Let it mold you. Let it reveal you. Let it deepen you. Because when you emerge, calm, clear, whole, you won't just be healed. You'll be reborn. Chapter 15. Heal so deeply that peace becomes your natural state. There is a kind of healing that goes far beyond fixing what's broken. It's not just about putting the pieces back together, it's about becoming someone who no longer carries the sharpness of what once shattered you. Someone who doesn't flinch at silence. Someone who doesn't fear being alone. Someone who doesn't mistake chaos for love. That kind of healing, the deep, kindies, not loud. It doesn't make headlines. It happens slowly, silently, day by day, thought by thought. And the deeper it goes, the more permanent the transformation becomes. To heal deeply means to no longer need revenge or validation to feel whole. It means releasing the urge to be understood by people who never truly saw you. It means giving up the need to constantly explain yourself, defend your choices, or prove your worth. It's waking up and realizing, I'm not carrying this anymore. Not because it didn't hurt me, but because it no longer defines me. Deep healing is not about forgetting the pain, it's about outgrowing its grip on your spirit. It's when the memories return but no longer sting. It's when the people who hurt you cross your mind and your heart doesn't tighten. It's when you sit alone, no, in loneliness, but in quiet companionship with your own soul. And how do you get there? You get there by facing what you've avoided, by grieving what you've lost, by sitting in the discomfort long enough for it to become your teacher instead of your enemy. You get there by forgiving not because others deserve it, but because you deserve peace more than you deserve to stay angry. You heal by choosing your peace over your pride, by letting go of the identity you built around your pain, by asking yourself, who am I without this wound? And then slowly, gently, rediscovering that person. The more deeply you heal, the less reactive you become. You stop being pulled into drama. You stop arguing with people who don't listen. You stop proving yourself to those who never cared to understand. Instead, you rest, you reflect, you protect your energy like it's sacred, because it is. You learn how to smile without needing a reason, how to find beauty in the smallest things, how to breathe deeply and say, I'm okay right here, right now. And eventually, peace becomes your natural state. Not because everything outside you is perfect, but because everything inside you has been softened, soothed, and settled. You no longer chase happiness, you create space for it. You no longer force love, you become love. You no longer fear solitude, you welcome it like an old friend. This is the power of deep healing. It gives you your life back, not the life others scripted for you, but the one that belongs to you and your truth. And when you begin to live from that healed place, everything changes. Not because the world suddenly becomes easier, but because you have become unshakable. So heal not just so you can function. Heal so you can finally feel. Heal so you can soften without breaking. Heal so peace is no longer a moment, but your default mode. Let your healing be your quiet revolution. Let your peace be your silent anthem. Let your joy unapologetic, unshaken, and deeply rooted be the proof that you didn't just survive, you transformed. Chapter 16. The real you emerges when no one is watching. There's a version of you that most people will never meet. Not the version you present at gatherings. Not the one polished by smiles and small talk. Not the one who posts the right words at the right time. But the version of you that lives in the quiet, when the doors are closed, when the phone is off, when the masks fall away. That version is the real you. And often, that's the one who feels invisible, unheard, uncelebrated, unseen. But here's the truth. You must hold close. Your truest self doesn't need an audience to be valid. It doesn't need a stage, a spotlight, or a round of applause to be real. It just needs your attention, your love, your loyalty. When you're alone, really alone, you begin to feel what's been buried underneath the noise of the world. You begin to hear your own thoughts without outside opinions shaping them. You begin to ask questions like, what do I believe when I'm not trying to impress anyone? What makes me feel alive when I'm not trying to be seen? What kind of life feels good to my soul, not just good to my image? These questions aren't easy. They require honesty, the kind that hurts before it heals. Because sometimes the real you has been silenced for years. Trained to stay quiet. Trained to fit in. Trained to make others comfortable at the cost of your own truth. But solitude gives you a rare opportunity to strip away every false identity, to stop performing, to stop pretending, to stop filtering your essence just to be accepted. And in that stillness, something incredible happens. You begin to meet yourself, not the version others crafted, but the version that always lived beneath the surface. You remember the things you used to love, the way your eyes lit up when you talked about something meaningful, the way your heart softened when you helped someone quietly, the way your soul danced when you were lost in creation, not for likes or praise, but for you. The real you isn't defined by productivity, popularity, or approval. The real you is defined by presence, peace, purpose. And once you reconnect with that version, the world starts to look different. You begin to say no to what drains you. You begin to say yes to what aligns with your spirit. You stop chasing relationships where you have to shrink. You stop bending into roles that suffocate your truth. You no longer feel desperate to be seen because you finally see yourself. And in this deep seeing, there is liberation. You free yourself from society's definitions of success. You free yourself from the need to constantly explain your choices. You free yourself from the invisible contracts you signed just to be liked. You are not here to be a copy. You are not here to be a mask. You are here to be fully, authentically you. And the world may not always understand that. But it doesn't need to. Your life is not a performance. It is a sacred unfolding. And when you start living as the real, you quietly, powerfully, unapologetically, you no longer need constant validation, because you have something far stronger: self-trust, inner alignment, peace that doesn't shake when people leave. So honor the moments when no one is watching. That's where the real work happens. That's where the real growth begins. That's where the real you rises. And once you meet that version of yourself, you'll never trade it for anything again. Chapter 17. You are not behind, you are being prepared. In a world obsessed with timelines, progress, and milestones, it's easy to feel like you're falling behind. You scroll through social media and see everyone celebrating new relationships, new homes, new careers, new beginnings. Meanwhile, you sit in your room, questioning everything. Why hasn't it happened for you yet? Why does life feel like a waiting room while everyone else seems to be living their dream? But here's a truth that will breathe life into your weary soul. You are not behind. You are being prepared. Prepared in silence. Prepared through discomfort. Prepared in the long, lonely spaces that no one else sees. There is a divine unfolding to your story that cannot be rushed. The reason it's taking time is because what's coming is too sacred to be built on shaky ground. You're not stuck, you're being strengthened. Your roots are growing deeper so your rise can be taller. And that kind of preparation, it doesn't always look like progress, but it is. Think of nature. A seed planted in the dark doesn't bloom in a day. It rests underground, buried in stillness. No applause, no validation, no evidence that it's growing. And yet it is. Quietly, powerfully, purposefully. That's you right now. You're learning what it means to stand alone. You're being stripped of what you thought you needed so you can discover what truly matters. You're healing wounds you didn't even know existed because the next chapter of your life will require a stronger, wiser version of you. Sometimes, what feels like a delay is actually divine protection. Sometimes, rejection is not a punishment, it's a redirection. Sometimes, your isolation is not a curse, it's the cocoon for your transformation. And yes, it's hard. It's hard to trust the process when all you see is emptiness. It's hard to believe in a purpose when all you feel is pain. It's hard to keep going when there's no guarantee, no deadline, no visible sign that things will change. But growth is never loud. Healing is rarely visible. And preparation almost always feels like a pause. But it's not a pause. It's a process. You're shedding layers of who you were taught to be. You're breaking generational patterns. You're choosing inner peace over outer approval. You're unlearning false timelines that were never yours to begin with. And the person you're becoming? They don't rush. They don't beg. They don't panic when life gets quiet. They trust. They stay grounded. They know that real transformation is not measured by outward speed but by inward depth. So the next time you feel like you're falling behind, remember this. You are not late. You are not less. You are not lost. You are on time for your life. Not theirs. Not the internet's. Not society's. Yours. Let others run ahead. Let them post their wins. Let them glow in their moment. Your moment is coming and it will not be rushed, because it will not be ordinary. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are simply being refined for something bigger, deeper, truer. So keep walking. Keep trusting. Keep preparing. Because when it's your time, when all the quiet work finally blooms into something real and lasting, you'll understand why it had to take so long. Why you had to be alone. Why you had to wait. And you'll whisper to yourself, not with regret, but with awe. I wasn't behind. I was becoming. Chapter 18. One day, you'll thank the silence that taught you everything. Right now, the silence may feel heavy. It may feel like a punishment, a void, a cruel space where no one calls, no one texts, no one checks in. It might feel like you've been forgotten, like the world has moved on without you, like your voice echoes into nothing and your presence no longer matters. But there will come a dire, quiet, beautiful day when you look back at this silence and whisper, "Thank you." Because this silence is not empty. It is full. Full of lessons, full of truth, full of revelations that could never reach you when life was loud. It's in this silence that you finally learn how to hear yourself. Not the version of you shaped by others' opinions. Not the version edited for acceptance. But the raw, unfiltered voice inside you, the one that was always there, just waiting for your attention. In silence, you face what you've been running from. The grief you buried, the fears you hid behind busyness, the dreams you abandoned because you didn't think you were worthy. Silence forces honesty, and that honesty, it becomes your starting point, not of more pain but of deep, authentic healing. One day, you'll thank the silence because it taught you that your own company is not something to endure, it's something to honor. You'll remember the nights you sat with your tears and didn't try to distract them away. The mornings you rose without applause, yet still chose to move forward. The moments you felt empty and yet reached inward to fill your own soul with presence and love. You'll thank the silence for teaching you how to become whole, not because someone chose you, but because you chose yourself. It's in the silence that you built self-trust. It's in the silence that you discovered peace that doesn't depend on anyone. It's in the silence that you learned to stop performing and start being. Because when no one is watching, the masks fall away. When there's no audience, there's no need to impress. And when all distractions are gone, all that remains is the truth. And that's where you found your real power. You learned that peace isn't found in noise, it's found in clarity. That love isn't about being seen, it's about being known, first by yourself. That fulfillment doesn't come from others, it comes from living in alignment with your values, your rhythm, your truth. This silence taught you how to hold space for your pain instead of rushing it away. It taught you that you don't need answers to have peace. It taught you that not all waiting is wasting, some of it is sacred preparation. And one day, when your life begins to bloom again, when love returns, when laughter feels natural, when purpose pulls you forward with gentle certainty, you'll look back at this silent season with gratitude, not resentment. You'll say, that silence was my teacher. That silence revealed what the noise tried to cover. That silence didn't break me, it built me. And the beautiful part? The wisdom you gain in silence can never be taken from you. It stays. It lives in your breath, in your walk, in your calm. It becomes part of your essence. So don't fear the silence anymore. Lean into it. Let it teach you. Let it soften you. Let it strip away everything false so that only the truth remains. Because one day soon you'll look at the life you rebuilt with your own two hands and you'll smile, not just because it's full again, but because you finally understand why you had to be emptied first. And you'll thank the silence that taught you how to begin. Chapter 19. Let the love you craved become the love you give yourself. We all carry within us a quiet longing to be held, understood, cherished, a longing to feel safe in someone else's arms, to be chosen, to be loved so deeply that the broken parts of us no longer feel so heavy. And when that love never comes the way we imagine either, when it comes and leaves, we begin to question our worth. We ask ourselves if we're too much or not enough. We wonder if something's wrong with us. We search for that love in places that cannot sustain it, people who do not know how to hold it, moments that disappear too quickly, attention that fades. But here is a truth that will change the way you see everything. The love you were searching for out there has always been waiting for you within. What you long for, compassion, protection, encouragement, gentleness, belonging, can be created by you, for you. And when you finally understand that, you stop begging to be chosen. You choose yourself. Let the love you craved from others become the love you give yourself daily, not as a second-best option, not as a substitute, but as the most honest and unshakable source of love you will ever know. It starts small. Speak to yourself the way you've always wished someone would. Hold space for your emotions the way no one did. Be patient with your pain. Be proud of your effort. Be kind to your healing. Love yourself on the days when you feel unlovable. Love yourself when you make mistakes. Love yourself when you feel like you're moving backward. This is not about bubble baths and feel-good quotes. This is about choosing yourself in your rawest, most vulnerable form. When you're curled up in bed, crying quietly into your pillow. When you're filled with self-doubt and can't recognize your own reflection. When you're triggered, tired, and feel like giving up, that is when your self-love must rise. Because if you abandon yourself in those moments, you repeat the very cycle you're trying to break. But when you stay kind, when you stay present, when you stay rooted in your worth despite the pain, you become the love you were always looking for. And something shifts. You no longer feel desperate for someone to fill the void. Because the void is no longer empty, it's filled with you. You become your own safe place, your own home, your own source of peace. And when real love comes from others, you won't need it to complete you. You'll welcome it, enjoy it, honor it, but you won't cling to it. Because you'll know you are whole either way. Let your self-love be sacred. Let it be consistent. Let it be strong enough to hold you through every storm. Because when you love yourself deeply, something miraculous happens. You raise your standards. You protect your energy. You stop chasing things that were never meant for you. You begin to live from fullness, not fear. From self-respect, not self-neglect. From power, not desperation. And no one, not time, not people, not pain can take that from you. So let today be the day you stop waiting for someone else to love you right. Let today be the day you begin to love yourself in all the ways you once prayed someone else would. Because the most profound healing begins not when someone finally loves you, but when you finally do. Chapter 20. You already have everything you need to begin again. We often believe that starting over requires something more strength, more clarity, more support, more answers. We wait, we delay. We tell ourselves, when I'm ready, when I'm healed, when I have everything figured out. But the truth is, you will never feel 100% ready. Not for healing, not for letting go, not for rising again after heartbreak or loss or silence. Because real beginnings aren't born from certainty. They're born from courage in the middle of the unknown. And here's what no one tells you. You already have everything you need to begin again. Not next month, not next year, not when someone returns, or when life gets easier, or when the stars align. Right now, as you are, you have breath. You have a heart that still beats, despite everything it's been through. You have a soul that still whispers, try again, even after all the pain. You may feel like you're behind. You may still be grieving, still rebuilding, still lost in questions without answers. But that doesn't mean you're not ready. It means you're real. It means you've lived. It means you're standing at the threshold of something new, not because everything is perfect, but because you've decided not to give up. You don't need the full picture to take the first step. You don't need to know where the road ends, only that staying stuck is no longer an option. Let go of the belief that your past disqualifies you from beginning again. It doesn't. It prepares you. It deepens you. It gives you wisdom that the starting line cannot teach. Your scars don't make you unworthy, they make you powerful. Your failures don't define you, they refine you. Your quiet resilience, your survival through the nights, no one saw that, is your qualification. You don't need permission to start over. You don't need a perfect plan. You need only one thing, a decision. A decision to choose yourself. A decision to stop carrying what was never meant to be yours. A decision to stop waiting for the world to save you, and instead, step into the world with your own 2 feet. Begin again, not because the past was a failure, but because you are not finished. Because your story is still being written. Because what's ahead can still be beautiful, even if what's behind you was hard. And yes, it will be scary. You'll doubt, you'll hesitate, you'll want to return to what's familiar, even if it hurt. But keep going. Build slow. Speak kindly. Live gently. Trust that the new you is rising through every painful ending, through every silent night, through every brave morning you choose to show up again. And know this, beginning again is not a sign that you've failed. It's the ultimate sign that you haven't given up. So if you're here, still breathing, still feeling, still hoping for something more, then you, my friend, are not broken. You are becoming. Start small. Start soft. Start now. You already have the strength. You already have the wisdom. You already have the fire. You don't need anything more. You are the beginning. If you've made it this far, if your heart is still open, if your eyes are still holding tears, if your soul is quietly whispering, "Maybe I can try again," then know this. You were never broken. You were becoming. Every lonely night, every unanswered prayer, every silent moment where you wondered if your life still mattered, all of it was shaping you, not to destroy you, but to return you to yourself. This journey was never about learning how to avoid being alone. It was about learning how to finally come home to the person you abandoned when you started seeking love in everyone but yourself. You have spent so long searching for completion in someone's arms, but the most sacred arms you will ever rest in are your own. You've begged the world to see you, to understand you, to stay. But the most important relationship of your life has been quietly waiting all along. The one you have with your own soul. These 20 chapters were not lessons. They were awakenings. They were mirrors to remind you of your power. They were invitations to stop running. They were quiet hands reaching through the darkness saying, "You are enough. You are whole. You are ready. Ready to stop chasing and start choosing. Ready to stop performing and start being. Ready to stop surviving and start living. You now understand that solitude is not emptiness, it is space. Space for healing. Space for truth. Space for real love, the kind that begins within and radiates outward. You have learned how to speak gently to yourself. How to stop apologizing for existing. How to rest in your own presence and call it peace. You've realized that the love you were begging for was never outside of you, it was always waiting inside. That healing doesn't come from someone else saving you. It comes from you rising. And yes, the road has been long. It has been quiet. It has been painful. But now you know how to walk it with grace. Now you know how to light your own way. Now you know that even in your aloneness you were never truly alone. Because within you, there is light, there is wisdom, there is fire. And from this place, this sacred, quiet, powerful place, you don't just begin again. You begin as someone new, not someone built from perfection, not someone who has it all figured out, but someone who finally understands that their worth was never missing it, was just buried beneath the noise. Now you know. You don't need to be chosen to feel valuable. You don't need to be rescued to be free. You don't need to be loud to matter. You just need to be you honestly, quietly, and completely. So take this with you. You don't need to rush. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to wait for someone to tell you that you're worthy of peace, love, joy, or healing. Because after everything you've survived, You already are. So close your eyes, take a deep breath, and whisper to yourself, I am no longer waiting. I am no longer seeking. I am no longer lost. I am found, right here, in me. And that, my beautiful friend, is how you finally learn to be happy alone, even when life breaks you.